So you want to be a filmmaker. I get it, so do I. As I've gone through my career, I've basically seen two paths. Now there's a million different sub-paths within that, but one is what I would call the traditional path. You do everything you can to get on sets. You're starting out as a PA, a runner. You're learning all the different departments. You're making connections. But then you have the path of the content creator. Now, to be clear, I know there's a lot of filmmakers out there who don't want to be YouTubers and content creators and social media influencers. Being in front of the camera is not my favorite thing by far. I've gotten more comfortable as the years have gone on. But if you scroll way back on my channel, dear God, I believe this comes off. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. I used to have everyone out of the house before I could record anything. But in this video, I want to address the people who may be looking at that first path and seeing some obstacles such as time, money, or you're just not able to find the projects that you really want to be a part of. And I want to tell you why YouTube can be a cheat code to get the things you want in the creative world. Two examples that come to mind are you have 𝗖𝗛𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗙, right, who is the king of vlogs. He's a dominant force in this YouTube space, but his background and his passions are in storytelling and narrative filmmaking. And then another example that comes to mind is Peter McKinnon. You remember like a handful of years ago, he basically was hired by, I think it was Hyundai or some car, maybe Kia, some car company, to basically come on and take their holiday promo photos, and there was like this really stylish Santa, if I remember correctly. And I think within the vlog, he's basically like, what am I doing here? Like, he's essentially commanding this set, this group of people, even though he was a novice when it came to being on a set. So how did he go from someone who's just this kind of solo, amazing photographer and filmmaker, but not working on big sets, to essentially skipping all the ladders that most people do in that traditional path and landing essentially the dream job of the person on set? All right, so what are the 5 ways that YouTube is a cheat code in my opinion? The first one is the educational power of YouTube. We've all heard of YouTube University at this point, and this definitely is more on the side of just receiving information. I didn't go to college. I have no formal certifications or training when it comes to all this stuff. I'm just self-taught. I'm a student of YouTube University over the years, and a heck of a lot of trial, error, and practice. Do you know how many times the night before being on a set where I'm doing a job for the first time, like the first time I was a first AC, I was just watching so many videos on what does a first AC do? How do I rig up in Arri Alexa? How do I connect the motor to this and that? Looking up every single thing I can. When I walk on set the next day, I can do the whole fake it till you make it, but at least I have some, quick education under my belt, and it has helped me my entire career. Because I have to do every part of the process from business to production to editing and then marketing myself, you just can build an excellent portfolio for yourself. And speaking the business side of things, great segue to today's sponsor. So I have to be honest with you about something. I actually kind of hate running a business. The admin work, managing invoices, production timelines, payments. It's the worst part of this amazing job. And over the years, I have dabbled in my share of apps and tools, trying to test out ways to make this easier, but I've never really found a one-stop shop that handles it all until now, which is why I'm pleased to say this video is sponsored by HoneyBook. I recently learned about HoneyBook as the leading client-centered CRM platform for entrepreneurs. And even though I'm new to the platform, I can already see the benefits for any creator or freelancer. I can't tell you how nice it is to have all of my saved proposals, contracts, and invoices in one spot, making it incredibly easy and literally just a couple button clicks to get it sent to new clients and leads. And of course, the most fun part of the admin side of things, which of course is receiving payments. A feature I plan on taking full advantage of this year is all of their automation tools. When you're bouncing back and forth between multiple projects and different daily tasks, having to remember multiple follow-up procedures and having more touch point reminders about the same project is hard to kind of store up here. With HoneyBook automations, you can actually set up the process of when you want follow-up emails to be automatically sent after sending a proposal or an invoice, so you don't ever have to remember manually to do these things again. I'm sure you're like me and you have huge goals for 2025, and HoneyBook wants to help you get there with their January Jumpstart Challenge. Check out the link in the description below so you can start a free trial and be entered to win a $10,000 package of tools, resources, and training so that you can have the most successful year possible. So join me this year in trying out HoneyBook and see if it works for you. Shout out to HoneyBook for sponsoring this video. Number 2 is the networking and collaborative benefits. Creating a platform for myself to have other people see me has given me the opportunities that I would have never gotten if I didn't put my face out there and put it out there in this specific way. A project I worked on last year where I was brought on as second AC and a bit of cam mopping was this one couple who ran up to me at NAB, and they had been, I guess, watching me and Michelle for a while, all the content we've made. And before I knew it, they were inviting me onto their large production that they were shooting in a couple weeks. The reason that I think these networking opportunities come about in a different way than the more traditional way is because when you meet someone, you have to build rapport with them before you're going to start, offering opportunities, or, you got to feel out the other person to see if you can vibe with them. And that takes time in the traditional sense. But a weird thing occurs when you're a content creator. Right now, I'm talking to a camera. I'm alone in this room. I can't see or hear any of you. But if you watch me enough, you're going to start to learn a bit of my personality, learn some of my traits. I am real me on camera as if you met me in person. And so over time, after watching me for a while, you develop this sense of knowing me a little bit. And I do the same thing. If I were to walk up to 𝗖𝗛𝗧𝗨𝗙𝗙 or Peter McKinnon, I would have this sense of knowing them, and I feel like I could talk to them in a way that fits their personality. But they know nothing of me. I've never met them before. But let's say I was in a position of being able to hire one of them or bring them onto a project. If I'm looking at a bunch of different resumes, but Peter's like, yeah, I would love to join in on this project. I already have this made up rapport in my head, along with, these platforms are essentially a verification tool as to, I know what I'm talking about sort of thing. So if I've seen his videos, I know his work. It's in a way unfair, but also he's put in the work to show his work to the world and say, here I am. And so, yeah, I may just straight pick him out of the lineup without looking at any other resumes, watching other film reels by people that I've never seen their face before. And that has happened to me a number of times. Being brought onto projects just because people have seen my face a bunch of times, or even just one time they click on it, they go to the channel, they see a healthy subscriber amount, they see hundreds of videos that which, more or less prove, again, I know what I'm talking about, at least a little bit. So networking and collabing with people, I think, is a super cheat code to fast tracking your way through getting on different types of projects. This next one is almost a continuation of that, but it's building your portfolio without necessarily having a budget. So by creating YouTube content, I'm essentially creating different projects that I can then use in a sort of film reel. Especially if you're freshly starting out, this is your best way to build your 10,000 hours of becoming an expert. Like I said, I didn't go through any sort of traditional schooling. I wasn't on a ton of sets as PAs. I did a handful before really getting into YouTube. So next up is probably the most favorable reason to go down this career path, and that, of course, is the monetization of it. And because there's so many different avenues to the monetization. Obviously, you can make money off of views, sponsorships, affiliate sales, all those parts of being a content creator. But also, let's be honest, the free gear. I just passed my 600th video upload. I think I've been uploading for like 8 years, taking it seriously the past like 5 since I've been full-time. And only in the past couple of years have I gained the ability to actually make a fair amount for like sponsorships and stuff like that. But prior to that, it was a ton of freelance work mixed in that. But to get better freelance work, I needed better gear, but I didn't have the money to get better gear. But thankfully, because I was doing YouTube, I was able to reach out to companies and be like, hey, you don't have to pay me, but just send me that light or send me that lens or send me whatever. And nowadays, when people like come over and they're checking out all my gear and stuff, they're like, oh my God, that stuff's so expensive. It's like, yeah, the value of it is expensive, but I would say the majority of the gear that I have is just an accumulation of getting free stuff for the past 8 years. And I just want to be ultra transparent about that. I always tell you guys when something is sent to me versus something being bought on my own. So even if you don't want to make it to the point where you're necessarily full-time, you're getting big sponsorships or anything like that, you can at least look at this as an avenue to not only gain all the other skills and put in the hours like we talked about previously, but it can be an avenue to upgrade your gear without having to necessarily buy everything. It's an honest perk that I don't think a lot of people are really honest about all the time. All right, last but not least, this one is a fun one, I think, is overcoming the perfection barrier. There is nothing that kills the creative growth than horrible deadlines and not being able to essentially manage your own time. One of my favorite pieces of filmmaking advice, I believe, came from Ryan Conley from Film Riot. And he was talking about just scaling stories down is something that people don't think about. If you love making war movies and you watch Saving Private Ryan or all these big blockbuster hits, you can go, oh, I want to make something like that. One day, because, I don't have millions of dollars or 100 friends with all these different, military gear to make this movie. Oh, I guess I just won't do it. No, absolutely still do it. Just scale your story back. Write a story about a lone soldier in a single foxhole. You can make an incredibly compelling story with a minimal set, minimal budget, and just 1 or 2 friends. Like I said, I've made over 600 videos on this platform. There are some videos that I'm so proud of that feel near perfect, even if I go back and watch them. But the majority of them, no way are they perfect. I look at a video I made 3 weeks ago and I want to throw up some of the time. And that's only because I keep making new videos, and each time I'm hopefully learning something that will either make me more efficient and faster or just better and higher quality. So if you're just starting out, you haven't made any videos yet, just make your first 10 videos, upload them. I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they have custom thumbnails. They're gonna be horrible. They're gonna be bad. Don't be one of those people who spends 3 months coming up with photoshopping your YouTube banner, coming up with a name, and then another 2 months making your first video, really refining it. You're gonna regret it, and it's gonna prolong your success in whatever your definition of success, whether it's monetary, whether it's artistically. Seeking perfection in this creative world is the death of all artists. I really believe that creating content for YouTube has been the ultimate cheat code for me eventually finding my way back to the narrative film space and having opportunities that I may otherwise have never gotten. I've met so many people that I would have never gotten if I didn't have this job. I really just see talking to this camera and ultimately, receiving comments from you guys where it actually feels like a back and forth after you watch the video as just like a fun, friendly conversation with a friend talking about the latest tech and film gear out there. If you've gone down that more traditional path, I would love to hear your perspective on this. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.